You'll have to excuse me for this review. I'm a little bit sick, and it's Friday the 13th, so I wanted to get it out on time, so I'm going to go ahead and do it in this voice. So if it doesn't sound like me, don't be alarmed. It's still me. It's just my congested version. I've mentioned my Friday the 13th tradition before. Growing up, it was horror movies on VHS from the local rental store. These days, it's Blu-rays and video games with horror themes. While I don't experience VR sickness, no matter how hard I try, I do have an Achilles heel when it comes to virtual reality. Horror games in VR scare me to death. When I reviewed Resident Evil 7, I had to listen to Caddyshack while playing the game so I wouldn't get too scared. I don't know what it is. I know it's not real, but it's real enough. So this Friday the 13th week, I'm watching scary movies, playing scary games, and I picked Chernobyl VR Project because I wanted something creepy or eerie without giving myself a heart attack. For this review, we'll look briefly at the history of what happened and then discuss this particular VR experience. The disaster happened at the fourth reactor of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant on April 26, 1986. More than 200,000 square kilometers of land in the Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia became contaminated. Around 115,000 people were evacuated from the affected zone. The cleanup force, referred to as the liquidators, was made up of a total of around 600,000 people, about 10% of whom died, and around 165,000 became disabled. If you'd like to know more, I'll put a link in the description. The horrible tragedy provides a ready-made setting for everything from ghost stories to nuclear mutated survival horror. Again, I knew I wasn't going to get that with the Chernobyl VR project, but this is all the way at the other end of the spectrum. It's a purely educational experience. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for all the emotions I would have expected to feel being on the site of the disaster, it seems like a bit of a letdown for it to feel like I was in a museum instead of feeling present inside the virtual world. The full 3D areas that were built from the ground up are the best parts, but much of the game is just 360-degree video. It would have been amazing to have the entire affected zone rendered in real time, being able to explore every inch of Chernobyl, Pripyat, and the surrounding wilderness. Visiting the school, which was a full 3D environment, was one of the highlights. Walking through the halls, I could hear the children making their way to class. When I got close to the chalkboard, I could hear the teacher scribbling. The atmosphere in the school was exactly what I wanted, but it was the only few minutes of the entire experience that I had that feel. As good as the 3D environments are, the controls take away from the enjoyment. The only way to move around the environments is teleportation, and the only way to change the direction you're looking is by the pie chart style rotation. It feels infinitely more natural to have first-person shooter style fluid locomotion. This experience, fully rendered in 3D, would have made for the perfect eerie feeling walking simulator. But instead of being engrossed in the story of what happened, I felt like I should have been taking notes. Virtual reality experiences like this one offer opportunities to visit places that we wouldn't normally have the chance to see. In the future, I'm sure that 8K 3D videos are going to blow our minds and make us feel like we're actually there. But right now, they completely take away from the immersion with their grainy visuals and fisheye lens look. I look forward to seeing where VR technology takes us in the future, And thank you for taking the time to watch this video, even though I'm a little under the weather. I hope it was bearable for you. And I'll be bringing you more VR content very soon. Since Chernobyl VR Project was the tamest Friday the 13th VR experience ever, here's a sneak peek at my next review.